Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel where we take on all kinds of issues related to narcissism and antagonism. I'm going to take on a question that somebody actually emailed to me, which is, can narcissistic people experience trauma bonding? And before I take the topic on, I always welcome all of you to drop your answer in the comments. But here's a question again. Can narcissistic people experience trauma bonding? And the answer to that is yes. Someone reached out to me recently. They told me that they were informed that narcissistic people cannot experience trauma bonding because of the attachment issues and the empathic deficits observed in narcissism. I don't agree with that, and I'll share why I don't. The attachment issues are the reason a person would be vulnerable to trauma bonding. Trauma bonding has its origins in childhood. Chaotic early environments, inconsistent availability of caregiving, the denial of your needs, the vacillation between idealization and devaluation. The very conditions that would result in an anxious or even an avoidant attachment. But at a minimum, it would be an insecure attachment of some kind, right? And we know that individuals who have narcissistic personalities, insecure attachment styles, particularly anxious attachment styles, are a core issue, okay? And I have to say I've worked clinically with many, many narcissistic clients and have witnessed the trauma bonding that they maintain with their own parents well into adulthood. It's an interesting mix of loathing for the parent and an intense desire to still be seen by them. And that confused stew is often projected on love objects like partners in adulthood. Now, people in trauma-bonded relationships, regardless of their personalities, maintain relationships that are characterized by idealization and devaluation, fear of abandonment and being discarded, justification for what's going on. But with a narcissistic person, they will justify their own behavior or justify the relationship rather than justifying the behavior of the other person, just to be clear on that justification piece. Ultimately, the trauma bond is about the confusion of intimacy and emotional connection, but it's a mess. So there has to be an attempt to justify the mess one way or another. Trauma bonding can look different based on the personality of the person in it. Obviously, for many trauma-bonded people, they are conflict averse. They have a fear of losing the relationship. And many trauma-bonded people experience something called anger modulation, which is a tendency to push down strong, uncomfortable emotions like anger, or to push down needs for fear of rejection or of being labeled emotional. The dysregulation of the narcissistic person means that they really do not exert that capacity. They have it, they choose not to use it. I'm going to give you a really bad and immature analogy. It's kind of like if you peed in your pants. Listen, we can hold it when we need to go, but I gotta tell you, sometimes when we really gotta go, wouldn't it feel good to just let it rip if we can't get to a bathroom soon enough? And I guess some people, when they're drunk or just can't make it to the bathroom, right? But you get the point. We can hold it in even if it's uncomfortable. With narcissists with emotion, it's like they just keep peeing on themselves. They just let it out. Now, hoovering is a combination of trauma bonding and manipulation with a narcissistic person, and we can't tell where one ends and the other begins. Is hoovering a power play? Absolutely. It's game playing, right? I can get you back. I can mess up your new situation. I can start this game again. I can get your validation back, right? On top of that, narcissistic people do not do well with abandonment. They're willing to leave a relationship if they have their new situation set up. But if they are left by someone, you will see this mix of ego injury, attachment trauma, and a loss of supply, and the narcissistic person will become rageful. So even hoovering is a dynamic that does reflect some trauma bonding and some manipulation. Witnessing a narcissistic person in a trauma-bonded relationship is witnessing the same stuff we see in any trauma-bonded relationship. Lots of arguments, lots of fears of betrayal, though they are often on both sides of it. The narcissistic person cheats and then is worried that their partner is going to cheat. Projection meets abandonment meets ego. It's messy. There's good days, bad days, volatility, breaking up and making up, false promises, and this time it's going to be better, right? It's important to know this, not because of hope, walking around saying, hey, they're trauma bonded too. Maybe we can make this work as special trauma bonded twins. No. Trauma bonded relationships are not good for us. They take a toll on our health. They take a toll on others around us. They disrupt our overall functioning. They amp up negative moods like anxiety. They waste our time. And they keep us stuck in cycles that hold us back. I have worked with lots of trauma-bonded narcissistic folks. Ultimately, in most cases, the narcissistic person's bad behavior blew up the relationship, which the narcissistic person subsequently blamed the other person for. Basically, you're the reason I cheated, right? But in my clinical work with folks with these personalities, we sometimes made progress. And in some cases, I found the narcissistic client slowly realizing, I get why she left. I wasn't that nice to her. I put those tiny insights in the win column. Listen, in this case, I'm talking the woman never came back into his life. Thank goodness. I knew it wasn't going to end well. But who knows? Maybe that tiny bit of insight was a micro step towards a little more self-reflection. Listen, a girl can dream. But this idea that narcissistic people do not trauma bond is simply not true. And we'll also soon be having a video on whether a person can have a trauma-bonded relationship without a narcissistic person in it. Stay tuned. But I think that if we try to take narcissism and really shave it down to this absolutely unidimensional style, we miss the nuance. And by missing the nuance, we may find ourselves having errors in judgment and questioning ourselves in these relationships in ways that are not good for us. Thanks again.